Hey guys, welcome to another session of Epic 7. We're gonna talk about Ray. So preview today on the Korean stream and then on YouTube as well. These screenshots, as usual, when I do these series, is pulled from the YouTube videos themselves. So Ray is a Soul Weaver Taurus, the second one. Lately we got ML Angie, and she's fantastic, by the way. I will have a showcase video on her up on YouTube soon. She's so good. I just bring her everywhere, like Arena, except RTA right now. I have yet to figure out a team that can fit her in. But GVG offense, fantastic. The second Taurus, and you can see there the speed is very, very impressive. 110 speed. Talked to the stream chat before I started the recording, and it's confirmed that it is the fastest Soul Weaver in the game right now. Previously, Tamarine and DJ Bassar were the quickest, but now he's fastest. He's the fastest. The health is low. The health is low, so if you could get him on back to those flat HP with like health percent substats, and you know those kind of like necklaces and rings. Well, you might want to maybe run an effect resistance ring on him, but for the necklace, for sure, flat HP is the way to go. I-90 now too, so if you get a flat HP neck with really good percent HP subs, that'd be really good for him. The imprint concentration is 18% health. This one, I would say, I actually assumed that he would be like Sangelica, ML Angie, that it would be effect resistance. Now, if it was as a 5-star hero, it would be at a 27%. But it's 18% health. 18% health on the 4.4k HP base is not super high, since that the imprints do scale on the base HP and not the final. It won't make that much of a difference. So in that case, you can have a sigh of relief, because then you don't need to like go in ham mode and just pull multiples. If it was effect resistance, I would say that on his initial release on his banner, he might be worth pulling for, because whatever stats you can save from the effect resistance, because effect resistance doesn't scale on anything, it's just added to it, and it becomes way more bang for buck. But I'm pretty sure they didn't give him that because they would know that would be too broken for him, because if it was standing at 27, he'd have 57 resistance at a triple S without any gear on, and I think that's just a bit too OP. But regardless, defense is okay. HP is very, very, very low, so when you're building for him, you definitely want to keep him alive. He's going to keep your team usable because he's realistically a cleanser and a very, very potent healer. At the time of this recording, we have yet to see the data mine in terms of the heal mods itself, but judging from the video, I'm pretty sure he's going to be pretty good. The S3 reads this: invigorates the team by dispelling all debuffs inflicted on all allies, and grants immunity for 2 turns before recovering some health. So amount recovered is proportional to the target's max health. So it's not based on his HP. That could be very good. So like instead of like Rowana and a couple of the healers that we're already used to, it's not based on their own HP. Since it's really fair, because then you may not need to chase a very high HP to make him an effective healer, but rather the HP mainly for him to survive. Because of his low base HP, I do believe that he will struggle in RTA. Like even compared to like a Momo, which is a really effective cleanser already in RTA, or even a Fire Akates, he's going to struggle because his HP is just way too low, like easily one-shottable. But because it's based on the target's max health, if you bring him into a bruisery team, he's going to be really good. So ideally, you need a tank with an Aureus with a death buff. Kra would be a very good one. SC Raz, I'm seeing more and more use for him as well. So that'd be good as well, and of course he heals. So compared to DJ Bassar, he's really like a mini DJ Bassar on the S3 alone. Dispel first, and then grants immunity. The only missing thing is of course the CR boost. So I don't think anybody really considers DJ Bassar a quote-unquote healer. He's mainly a dispeller, or a cleanser. Let's say cleanser immunity buffer, and the CR booster. Like everything after that, you're praying that he'll heal enough, that he's faster than your enemy, that he can stun, so you can grant more turns before you can do the S3 again. But he actually heals on this turn, so that's very, very good, very solid. I think that's what we liked about Ray. Of course, he's a pretty boy as well. This is the one shot of the S3 there. So they're just gonna move on. So Light of Rebirth is the S2, radiates light upon all allies, recovering health and granting barrier for 2 turns. It's a 3-turn cooldown. Oh, one thing I do need to note, I think, on this one would be that it is a 4-turn cooldown, 50% heal. All right, 50% heal. Again, depending on the mod, 50% heal could be low, could be high. In my opinion, I think it's going to be decent. With the amount that it's packing in, it will probably heal slightly less, I'm guessing, than the S2. But the S2 also grants a barrier. So realistically speaking, I think we could be looking at an even heal mod for both the S2 and the S3. Both doing a lot, actually, for your entire team. Yeah, so let's go back. It heals and it grants barrier, and the amount recovered and barrier strength is also proportional to the allies' max health. So if we all are familiar with DN currently one of the top RTA picks just because of her turn cycling, the soul gathering, the buffs itself, anti-crit buff and barrier. It really cuts down on the damage, or has RNG to cut down on the damage, but the barrier on this will be the same as DN. For those who have experience with just going through DN's barrier will know how brutal that is. For Ray, he has a 50% barrier, and of course there is a barrier mod still to consider, like the mod scaling on the target's max health. So whatever that is end up being in the data mine, you get a 50% of that. So it's not additive 50%, it's multiplied. Okay, so S1 I would say is still really good. It dispels 1 debuff from an ally if you throw the bottle, acquires 1 soul here. I was thinking because of that, I mean this skill doesn't really do much in terms of healing. I mean it cleanses, so it's really good. So you could realistically, you can jump through, like maybe use your S2 and S3 at different times. Like don't waste them together unless you know you're receiving some really crazy damage incoming. Like let's say like a Bazaar hits you and you still get the turn, but like an RB is coming up, like you may want to go for the barrier right after the RB hits, or something like that. Because this is a 4-turn cooldown and this is a 3-turn cooldown. Because of this skill, I guess it's pretty good. You do want to balance that, so you kind of want to toss in, I would say you want to toss in an S1 here and there to kind of like space out your healing. And again, it does depend on how big the heal actually is for you to determine whether or not that strategy I just said actually makes sense. And of course it's conditional. No one's gonna be like, okay, Jagan said to wait 2 turns before I use my S2 and then you get cleaved to death. Of course no one's that stupid, so you're most likely gonna heal when you need it, so it's kind of like pointless for me to explain it. But I think because the S1 doesn't heal, and so you could really use a Celestine. If you could control the fight, let's say i.e. GVG, you bring him a GVG offense, you can control the fight on the defense. There's like no fire hero that you're worried about. You realistically, you don't need like a Water's Origin to keep him alive or to get this CR boost, but you can think about using something like a Celestine to keep your entire team alive. Because of his fast-paced speed, I don't think you need to build him really fast. I mean, he's not in a role of a DJ Bazaar where you want to be a CR booster, so you don't need him to be like at I don't know, like 250 speed. I think that kind of ruins it, because most often like the debuffers are going to be decently quick, so you kind of want them just like right under. I would say like though a speed boot with a speed set, you're already going to be near 200 speed, so you don't even need to chase much speed imprints, but rather chase like those flat health, percentage health, those kind of stats, and of course effect resistance. I think for any cleanser, effect resistance is a must-have. Actually, almost any Soul Weaver, really, for them to stay effective. Yeah, so that's what I think about the S1. I think Shamadra Staff could be good again for him, because he does some 2 really massive heals. And like I said, if you do balance out the S1, you kind of time it where you're not only stuck with the S1 for like 3 turns. You can probably run like a Shamadra Staff. Of course, there's a ton of healer artifacts on, so I know like a lot of people for this video recording, a lot of people may be like, okay, you could put it on this artifact and this artifact, but in my opinion, yeah, it just depends on the fight. His artifact though, speaking of artifact, his artifact is insanely weird. I think I spent like at least 20 minutes back and forth with stream chat trying to understand this, and I think we have a conclusion of what this actually means. So dispels 1 debuff from all allies. Okay, so only 1 debuff, that's number 1, and then recovers 20% of each ally's max health. Okay, so realistically that's kind of useful in the fact that you're gonna bring him most likely with all of his healing and his barrier scaling on the allies max health. Most likely they're gonna have large HP pool, so yeah, 20% of that might be really good. But after using non-attack skills 3 times, that's kind of weird. And then it can only be activated once per battle. That's the number 2 weird. So the usability on this artifact, I was discussing, because when I'm reading it, I'm like, this is actually a really bad artifact unless I'm reading this wrong. So I asked the stream chat, which at the time when I asked, I think there was like at least 150 people on the stream. Most of them were saying like it's pretty much trash, it's conditional. So it's a couple things. It's okay, conditional, and it's straight up trash. I kind of lean on the straight up trash part because you can't really control it. So the only part that we're not 100% sure of is so dispel the 1 debuff and the increased health is the effect of the artifact. Now, how to trigger the artifact is where I have the question, and where the stream chat had a question, but I think we're safe to assume that it's only when the caster does a non-attack skill 3 times. Originally we were reading like, oh, could this be that your teammates, your allies, but nowhere does it say allies. So originally, if this artifact actually procced based on your entire team, like your allies non-attack skills, it can actually be pretty decent. In terms of like I was posing this as an example, like your Luluka has a turn, you have Luluka on your team, and you can do the S2, which is a non-attack skill. It does barrier and does shield buff, and then maybe it's on the 3rd turn, and then it triggers, and then she can also cleanse and heal. That becomes very utility. But it becomes like very hard to calculate. But then what confused us more was because the stream chat started talking about, well, what about, like, does it count the enemy's turn, right? So can the enemy trigger it on non-attack skill? Because for Hellcutter, for example, Hellcutter stacks based on anybody's turn. So although the reading in Hellcutter doesn't actually say anybody's turn, I don't think it does actually. I might be wrong about that because the game is in maintenance right now. I can't pull it up to read it, but I'm pretty sure it has this kind of weird, vague description, kind of like this. But I do think that conclusively, I do think that this means non-attack skills from the holder of the artifact himself. So if you're not using this on Ray, for example, it's still really weird. Someone was joking on the stream chat that it's for Alina, so she could proc the S2 3 times and then cleanse on that. That surprise cleanse, surprise. Oh, Hellcutter is whenever somebody's turn ends. Okay, thanks for the confirmation. Okay, so it is different wording. You're right. Okay, so alright, so I'm pretty sure this is caster then. It has to be the caster. So it's kind of weird because so here's the thing. In most of the meta healers, they already do cleanse. Akates, Destina, Momo, himself. The only thing is that great 20% all health increase. Now the problem is, again, it's only activated once per battle. So once you use it once, it's over. So it's either you kill them or you end your opponents before they reactivate this skill cooldown for that you need this cleanse for again, or yeah, it's just wishful thinking that the artifact is usable. Yeah. I think everybody's trying to twist the words to make it usable, but it's super odd. In my opinion, if they remove the once per battle, this artifact will still be pretty weird. but at least people will bother using it. The problem is though, this realistically will not be a main artifact on a Soul Weaver you choose to bring into, let's say, an RTA fight. Because what it grants, yes, the heal, but you don't know when you need the heal. So something like a Shamadra Staff guarantees more healing. Something like Rod guarantees the healing on the lowest HP. Something like Touch of Rekos would guarantee if they hit you once per turn, hit your Soul Weaver. So like, I actually think that even if they remove the activated once per battle thing, it still wouldn't be that OP. Just keep in mind, it's not a full cleanse either. It's only 1 debuff. So if you're bringing this into a heavy debuff fight, i.e. Basar with like Abyssal Crown and like a Tenebria in there, I don't even know how you would allow both of them in there. But if you did, let's say an RTA fight, like this wouldn't come in handy at all. You would be CC'd to death, and this maybe keeps you alive for a while, but one debuff is not enough. Although it's all allies, so technically 4 debuffs. People are saying Potion Vial. I would say 2. Like Potion Vial, at least granted, it's 100%. Although you're choosing RNG, but I mean, if you don't have that much debuffs to deal with, Potion Vial is much more reliable. This is just like total RNG fest. On even granting the fact that can your healer actually get a turn to be able to use the non-attack skill 3 times, right? Like you have to wait. Like let's say if you have 150 effect resistance and you go into a MLCC has 150 effectiveness, keeps you provoke locked, then you're really screwed. So anyways, all of that ranting is to say that if you're pulling on Ray and Ray's banner and you don't get the artifact, consider yourself lucky, because most likely you're gonna hold on to it in case it gets buffed. But for those who are eager to get powder and get like actual usable artifacts right now, most likely you will powder it. Right now I really don't see a use for it until it gets a buff, and when we're talking about a buff, it will probably have to remove the once per battle thing and probably at least increase or decrease the amount of non-attack skills, or change the condition completely. I don't know, it's a really odd one. I feel like that this kind of like running out of ideas. It's like, okay, we got a new Soul Weaver, time to get a new Soul Weaver artifact. What can we do? It's like, what can we do? You know, it's like we need a debuff, but we already have a debuff. We have a dispel one already. We need something to do with heals, but we already have so many healing ones. So I feel like they're just kind of running out of ideas here. However they're gonna buff this in the future, it would be interesting, because I think Smilegate should not be afraid to overlap ideas. That's the thing, because it's just how it is. It's just how it is. Maybe change the base stats on it, you know? Change the base stats so that people are pulling maybe for the base stats. I don't know. Alright, so that's it for the video here. I actually did a rough cut because people were saying that there was a data mine out for Ray, but it wasn't. So we'll have to wait. It doesn't matter. You guys never really rely on these videos for the data mine. But I think fantastic hero, good stats, except the HP, of course. But I think he's going to be very usable. The artifact, not going to be that good. I'm going to end this for the video recording. If you guys have Discord, check out the Discord server. Follow me on Twitter. Subscribe to YouTube if you haven't. As always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.